You are listening to the Tricorder Transmissions Special Episode 35. And now, here are Craig and Jeff.
Welcome to Supplemental Log number 35 of the Tricorder Transmissions. I'm your host, Jeff Hewlett, and it is a really exciting time for us Trek fans. We're finally, after all this time, we're finally getting close to the official release of Star Trek Beyond, and today we've got a very special surprise for you. We're going to be talking about a special version of that film, which is soon to be released, and here to help me talk about that is Mr. Adam Castles from Barco Escape. Adam, welcome to the show.
Hi, Jeff. Thank you so much for having me on the show. It's great to join you.
Oh, it is my absolute pleasure. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'd love to. So I'm the marketing guy here at Barco Escape, and I've got the wonderful job of communicating to the world the availability of Star Trek Beyond in our new multi-screen panoramic format, which is available in select locations in North America and some international countries as well. And so myself, I'm a Trekkie fan personally. So when I started working with Barco Escape, and specifically on this project, I had to hold myself back from saying I'll do it for free, because it's just one of the most exciting projects I've worked on in a long time. Obviously, getting to work with the franchise and getting to work with the story, and then getting to work with it in a way where we get to work with really great technology that expands the story is kind of a dream.
That's awesome. I was actually going to ask you if you were a Trek fan. So I like to ask all of the guests on our show who are here for the first time, do you have a favorite Trek series?
Oh, I do. Hands down, Next Generation.
All right. So it seems like a lot of our guests are either follow with the original series or Next Gen for the most part. We only have a couple of DS9s.
I'm surprised. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It kept it going, but nothing beats Jean-Luc Picard.
So am I to assume Jean-Luc Picard is your favorite character?
He's my favorite captain.
Okay.
Character is a seasonal issue.
Oh, really interesting. And any favorites that stick out you want to mention?
I mean, I think Data is probably one of the funniest characters they've ever had. And I think Janeway was a good level set, although it's very difficult watching her in Orange is the New Black because you just constantly see her as Captain Janeway.
Isn't that strange to see your favorite Star Trek characters in other series?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, but it's testament to the good acting that keeps the Star Trek franchise alive.
Absolutely. So have you been with Barco for a long time?
I'm new to Barco as the marketing guy. I've been with them this year primarily, helping them get the word about the format out. Prior to that, I have kind of marketing experience working with consumer brands. So it's a bit of a transition, but I've done some work with film and entertainment in the past. So for me, this is just kind of a great blend of really great technology and really great stories. And when you're working in marketing, I think there's nothing more exciting.
Yes, actually, this is really neat for me because many years ago in another life, I worked in audiovisual in the corporate world, and I had a lot of experience with the old Barco 3-gun projectors, the big ones that used to be mounted to the ceiling. So when you contacted me to come on the show, I kind of had a little blast from the past moment.
Well, it's interesting. Barco is one of the biggest brands in the world, if you've heard of them before. And I think Barco Escape is really moving us into the consumer world and helping us tell the story of Barco, which is just really great products that help enhance your storytelling experience in the entertainment world. I mean, Barco is a large global company, but within entertainment, they're actually the global leader in digital cinema. So often people won't realize that some of their favorite stories, some of their favorite experiences, Star Trek and otherwise, are actually powered by Barco projectors. And that's just a really great feeling to be part of something that's helping people live amazing moments, get the goosebumps sitting in the theater, that laugh, that cry that you experience is being powered by a Barco projector. And that's something really great to be part of.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't think people really spend a lot of time thinking about the technology that's behind those little windows at the back of the theater.
There's a lot of technology that goes into those windows. I can definitely confirm that. The teams around the world, in Belgium and Sacramento here with the Barco Escape office, a lot of time, care, and thought is really putting into providing the best experience for the cinemas that we work with, and obviously their customers, us, the consumer, the people who want to go and watch a film that takes us to another universe or a potential future we might love to live.
Before we get into talking about Star Trek Beyond, I just wanted to get a little bit more into the Barco Escape as an experience. So I know from doing some reading and some research that it offers a very different experience from normal theaters and even IMAX, which is really popular now. Can you give us a rundown of what the Barco experience is like and how it differs from what people would
Yeah.
experience in normal theater?
Yeah, and I think it's a different type of experience. We've seen film over the last 100 or so years really develop. We've seen new technologies. You mentioned IMAX, which is a great experience with some of the biggest sound and the biggest images. Stuff like 3D, which have become quite ubiquitous, and even more recently stuff like 4DX and D-Box, the motion seats that provide an additional factor, an element to your movie-going experience. Barco Escape is another part of that experiential mix that's being provided to cinemas and to the customer. What is that really doing? So traditionally, we've had one screen in the center, and let's go back and think how that happened. Someone hung a bed sheet up at the end of the room and went, "That's cinema," and we projected light onto it.
Yeah.
We haven't really changed that principle since that point. And what Barco Escape is doing is really looking to expand that canvas. Why is it only one screen? We can do so much more now. We've got all of this technology, and Barco, being the global leader in digital cinema, gives them a real great vantage point to really pioneer and see what's possible within the industry. And so what from a consumer perspective, for audiences that are going to go see Star Trek Beyond and Barco Escape, what are they going to see? They're going to have the center screen in front of them, and on either side of the screen, there's an additional screen. So you actually end up with 3 screens for an ultra wide format. For those who are as techie as they are Trekkie, it's a huge cinema ratio. So it's actually 7.17 to 1. So it's incredibly wide format that really brings you into the film, makes you feel more connected to both the audio and the visuals, but the narrative and the emotion and the action that's taking place. When I first saw Barco Escape, I had this moment, it was almost like goosebumps. You are surrounded by the story. It can be overwhelming at times, but actually that's one of the joys of film and storytelling, is that we can have those overwhelming moments. So at certain points throughout Star Trek Beyond, the kind of most epic moments, the key sequences and select scenes that the team at Bad Robot and Paramount have selected to kind of expand out into this format, you'll really get a different type of cinema experience. So there's about 20 minutes or more of the film that have been kind of exploded out across these 3 screens to give you this hugely panoramic experience. And it's quite hard to describe. Even seeing it online, we recently released our official Barco Escape trailer, and consumers can see that at readytoescape.com. You get a sense of it, but nothing is like sitting in the room and having the whole of space wrapped around you as you watch the Star Trek Enterprise fly into the distance. That's a kind of really special moment. So what people are going to experience, and hopefully your listeners will experience as well, is just a very different way of going to the movies, and something really unique that I don't believe they'll be able to get anywhere else.
I just actually, a few minutes before we got on the call here, I watched that trailer, and even on my small 27-inch monitor here, I was pretty blown away by what I saw, and it's looks like it's going to be a really incredible experience. The action scenes, I mean, we've seen the trailers prior. In fact, we've had 2 episodes here on the Tricorder Transmissions where we talked about the first 2 trailers for the film, and seeing it in this way, especially the action shots of the aliens destroying the Enterprise or starting to rip it apart, they're pretty breathtaking.
Yeah, I think breathtaking is a great word to use, Jeff. One of the joys of working with some of Hollywood's finest, Bad Robot, people like J.J. Abrams, Ben Rosenblatt, Justin Lin, some of Hollywood's real pioneers in how to create great stories. We saw the work that J.J. Abrams and Ben Rosenblatt did with Star Wars, and taking a well-loved science fiction franchise to the next level. Knowing they've got the Star Trek franchise in their hands, and then knowing they've got this new technology that lets them expand that universe in a totally new way, it's just a great melting pot of great minds, great story, and great delivery medium. What for me is going to be really exciting is to see all of those 20 minutes and see it all combined together as part of the film, watching the narrative expand and contract, and seeing how that starts to amplify the overall emotional experience that you get in the room. I think for the Trekkies amongst us, we're going to get something really unique and get to see just a different perspective on the whole film as well, to the point I feel like I'm going to go and see it in multiple formats, just so I can start to see the difference and see what the real change will be for me. I'm personally very excited about it, and obviously as a company, we're thrilled to be working with such great storytellers and film professionals.
Getting back really quickly to the theaters themselves, I know a lot of people out there may never have been to a Barco Escape before, so I wanted to ask a couple of questions about the actual theaters themselves.
Of course.
What types of seating are we talking? Do we have the recliners? Are we stadium?
It's the majority will be stadium. The lovely thing about Barco Escape is that it's a flexible format, so it moves into place when we have a Barco Escape film playing, and then it kind of moves out of place and masks itself so that you can play 2D, 3D regular showings in the same auditorium. It's a really neat solution. Obviously, Barco Escape is the new kid on the block, and we're growing incredibly fast. Our first two releases were Maze Runner, then Maze Runner 2, The Scorched Trials, in September of last year, and we're committing to many more titles in the coming years. We're really on a rapid path, which is incredibly exciting. But what that gives the cinema partners the ability to do is have flexibility with their auditorium. If they're not showing a Barco Escape film, we don't want them to be locked into having empty space.
I assume this doesn't require any sort of glasses or anything, do they?
Barco Escape, no. You could technologically put 3D into Barco Escape, but I think once you've gone to see it, Jeff, and once your listeners go and sit in the auditorium and they have the screens all around them, they're not going to want it to get any closer.
What kind of sound systems are we talking about for Barco? Is it specialized?
Barco Escape is primarily the visual format, so it will probably be some of the best sounds. I mean, one of the joys of cinema and why cinema is still such an important piece of our entertainment world and ecosystem today is that it is always the best sound and the best seats and the best screens. It will vary slightly by location, but you will have what you have come to expect and love. In some locations, you'll have 3D sound as well, powered by technologies like Barco Oro or others out there. But you're going to have the same sound that you come to love and experience from the cinema as part of your Barco Escape experience.
Very cool. So am I correct in saying that Barco Escape doesn't have to be in a dedicated Barco theater? It can be in an AMC theater or
That's correct.
a Cinemark?
That's correct.
Oh, really?
That's
okay,
correct.
So it's kind of like an IMAX type of an installation, just a special...
It's a special installation that will switch on for when our films are required. So we have some of our partners you just mentioned, people like Cinemark, people like Santikos. A full list of our locations can be found on readytoescape.com, and you can actually put in your zip code to find the theater nearest to you. We've got locations across North America, in the US and Canada, location in Mexico, Belgium, the Netherlands, and we've just recently announced a location in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates as well.
Oh, wow. You guys really are all over the place.
We're working hard to bring what we believe is one of the most powerful cinematic experiences to as many consumers as possible. Absolutely.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So on the other side of the coin, when filmmakers partner with Barco to create films that are special for the Escape, can you give me an idea of what that entails? Do they need special cameras? Is it post-processing? How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, as I'm sure many listeners will know, the creative industries know what they'd like to do and how they'd like to do it. And we're enabling them to kind of paint their picture on a much bigger canvas. How they choose to do that is very much up to them. There's a couple of different ways they can approach it. It can be done in a post-production format in a VFX way. But it can also be done from a shoot perspective. There are some specialized processes you need to go through to create from a shoot perspective, to create kind of the original shots for the format. Scott Wall, the director from Need for Speed and Act of Valor, is actually shooting the first fully Escape feature, Six Below, which is a survival story, launching later this year, towards the end of the year, which will be the first film that we played entirely start to finish in Barco Escape. So we're really excited to see that come to life as well. Different filmmakers, as with any new technology, are approaching it in different ways. Some really love the ability to have scenes expanded across the 3 screens and then come back to the center screen so that you have a kind of more intimate and then expanded moment. So you can actually use that as part of your storytelling toolkit to amplify the moments that are taking place.
Very cool. So Do you have anything else that you can tell us? I mean, I know you don't want to give away anything too spoilerish, but do you have anything else that you can tell us about the Star Trek Beyond that's going to be playing in the Barco Escape?
I think what I can share, I've spoken a lot with Ben Rosenblatt, about one of the producers of Bad Robot, about what excited them, and it further excited me. In terms of the story, I mean, it's a kind of a new addition to the chapter in the franchise, so we were already set for a roller coaster and a thrill ride ahead of us with Star Trek Beyond. In terms of what excited them about Barco Escape was, how can we take this and take the most epic moments and kind of make them even bigger, right? Star Trek is already a big story. It's got big boots to fill. How can we make those even bigger? And when they saw Barco Escape for the first time, it was this wow moment. Well, how do we expand that wow moment? And when they were looking at the film, when they were looking at the format and what the scenes are that could be really brought out across this panoramic format, was actually the ones with the most emotion, the most action, the most excitement, and the most narrative were perfect to bring out across these three screens. So I think what I can share without giving any spoilers is that when people go, they're going to not just get a visual experience, they're going to get a real kind of an emotional and visceral experience to that cinema moment that you really can't get anywhere else.
Wow. That sounds fantastic. I would love to go see it myself. I can't wait for my my friend Jim to go out and see it at the Barco Escape near him and come back and report to us and tell us what he thought of it.
We're looking forward to hearing what he has to say as well. We're excited for the general public to be able to get to see what we've all been nerding out about for the last few months. So we're excited to see how everybody reacts, and we think they're in for a treat.
Yeah, I do too. And can you give us an idea? Is the movie releasing in Barco the same date that it's releasing in normal regular theaters?
That's correct. The North American release date is July 22nd. Obviously, internationally that varies, and release dates and tickets are available on our website. We have some special Star Trek marathons that Paramount put together in some of our Barco Escape locations, where you can actually go and see the Star Trek 2009 film, followed by Star Trek Into Darkness, and then finishing with Star Trek Beyond in Barco Escape on Wednesday the 20th. That's available in Bellevue Cinemark location on Wednesday 20th in Washington State, and also at Regal LA Live, a Barco Innovation Center in downtown LA.
Oh, thank you so much for that rundown. That was great. I was going to ask you about that. Is there anything else that you'd like to say before we close up?
No, I think if you're a fan of Star Trek and you're a fan of really cool technology, and those two things tend to go hand in hand, and you want to see Star Trek in a way that is kind of designed for the 23rd century, I think Barco Escape should be something you should be considering, and we can't wait to hear what people think, and we think they're going to really love it.
So, Adam Castles, thank you so much for coming on the Tricorder Transmissions and telling us about Star Trek Beyond in the Barco Escape. I know that our listeners are going to be very excited to see it, and we really look forward to hearing about their experiences. And I'm sure we'll be talking again sometime about the next Star Trek movie that will be coming out.
I look forward to it, Jeff. I look forward to it.
So that wraps up the 35th supplemental log of the Tricorder Transmissions. Thanks as always for tuning in. You can find out more about our show on the tricordertransmissions.com. We are TTT_pod on Twitter, and on Facebook we are the Tricorder Transmissions. You can also find our merchandise on redbubble.com. Search for the Tricorder Transmissions, and we will see you again very soon. Hi there, thanks again for listening. If you're cruising the galaxy looking for even more Trek talk, why not visit our good friends Bill and Dan over at TrekGeeks.com? They've got a great podcast that covers a wide range of Star Trek topics, so you're sure to find something you'll love. And if you're in the mood for some awesome tunes, then you really need to head over to 5yearmission.net. The guys are writing a song for every episode of the original series, and each one is absolutely brilliant. So that's TrekGeeks.com and 5yearmission.net. Check them out today.